Hey there, wrestling fans. Welcome to another episode of Wrestling After Show, coming to you live and direct from the heart of the Mid-Atlantic Territory, right here in Danville, Virginia. My name is Heath Haynes.
And I'm Boca Raton, Cruiserweight Champion of the World, Jonny Fairplay.
Yeah, we're going to be hearing about this for a while. I have a feeling. Ladies and gentlemen, and you have the opportunity to see that very same Boca Raton Cruiserweight Champion this weekend down in High Point, North Carolina, Revolution Wrestling Authority. Why don't you tell us all about it, Fairplay?
It's the Night of Champions, brother. It's every champion in Revolution Wrestling Authority will be there at the Southside Rec Center in High Point, North Carolina. Being as it's Night of Champions, I felt as being the Boca Raton Cruiserweight Champion of the world that I should bring the championship, and I will be doing color commentary along with play-by-play Heath Haynes.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Who knew? I've got to work on my chops. I got to listen to my tapes. I've got to try to embrace the my inner Lance Russell or Gordon Soley. Those are those are two of my favorites. And so that's going down this Sunday in High Point, North Carolina. What was that time and location again?
It's the Southside Rec Center in High Point. It is 4 p.m. bell time. Tickets available at rwa-wrestling.com. That's rwa-wrestling.com. The RWA heavyweight champion of the world, Psycho Boy Fodder, of course, joined by Angelina Love, will be defending the title against James Ellsworth.
Wow, there's a superstar.
So main event anywhere, brother.
In addition to you and I, we're the stars of the Wrestling After Show podcast. Who else is going to be on this star-studded event this Sunday?
I'm not sure. I've been in Australia. I have no idea.
You have been in Australia. Well, they have Netflix in Australia, so I'm sure you are up to date on all the goings on in the wrestling world. We're going to talk about some big topics today, ladies and gentlemen. But before we get into all that, we'd like to remind everybody to like this video. We'd like to remind you to subscribe to the Reality After Show channel right here on YouTube. If you're listening to us on one of the myriad of audio platforms that we appear on, do whatever you can there to interact with us. And of course, if you're tuning in live today, leave us a comment and what do you call those things? Super chats. Like we got our friend right here, Cody Duffy. Thank you very much, Cody. Fairplay versus Godders at RWA or managing. Is that something in the works?
Cody, this you may super chat was well spent here. I believe contract negotiations between Mr. Spectacular, Jesse Godders, and RWA president Julian Strauss have commenced.
There you go.
Something is in the works.
Breaking news right here. Thank you so much, Cody, for that generous super chat there. So we're gonna dive right in. We've been we've had a week off, Fairplay gallivanting around the subcontinent, and so we have some stuff to catch up on. We're gonna start off, of course, we're in WrestleMania season here, and we got some big programs that are finally developing, coming to fruition. First off, we got to talk about the arrival, shall we say, of this heel John Cena, who has now opened up Monday Night Raw 2 weeks in a row with hot European crowds and his "I'm breaking up with you" sort of heel character that he's doing. Fairplay, how's this working out for you?
I mean, we all wanted to see what the heel persona would look like. We're just, there was the rumor and innuendo of the new tights, the new song, the new look. And you know what? Wow. Adding the socks to the other outfit was what we got.
A lot of that was a lot of that was speculation based on a podcast appearance he did with Chris Van Fleet, where they were discussing the possibility of a 2012 heel turn, and he was describing a new theme song and new gear, new robes, a whole new attitude and everything. So people were, sort of automatically thinking like, oh, that's what we're going to get. And we're not. We're getting the exact same Cena with whatever farewell tour this city merch he was going to be wearing anyway, regardless. So they're still selling those t-shirts. And according to Raw this week, I saw a good number of those Scotland t-shirts out in the crowd. So like, they're still selling. People are still into it. I would wager that there's probably a section of wrestling fandom that was lukewarm on the Cena farewell tour, and now he's turned heel, sort of the people that always wanted him to turn heel anyway. And they're like, yeah, let's get the hat, let's get the t-shirt, let's do the whole thing. So that's working.
Well, I think in addition, the people that wanted him heel, they're buying the shirts. The people that are going to miss John Cena. They love John Cena. And even though he's a heel now, he'll probably finish face, and they want that shirt.
Yeah, they want they want to have that. And for their, I mean, they were there, I'm kind of bummed out that I don't know that the Raw in Charlotte had a Charlotte specific Cena t-shirt. I kind of don't think it did. They had a Jey Uso specific t-shirt. But I'm kind of bummed I didn't just pick up just sort of the generic red John Cena farewell tour shirt. But that's neither here nor there. I'm sure I could still pick one up on WWE Shop. But it's been interesting. The interesting thing about his presentation the past couple of weeks has not been so much what he's said, because what he said is kind of just putting his own spin on the tried and true blaming the fans for the heel turn. That's essentially broad strokes. That's what he's doing. What's I think more notable is what he is not talking about. Two people specifically that he has not addressed. He has not addressed The Rock, and really he has not addressed his opponent, Cody Rhodes, and any meaningful way. Whatever.
Yeah.
So the Rock, not addressing The Rock, not addressing Cody Rhodes. Obviously everything we see is intentional. So in my mind, I have a couple of thoughts about it. I think the Cena presentation is unfolding. I think you had week one last week, and it was kind of sort of the baseline. I think this week built on it. The first week was, this is all your fault. You're a toxic fan base, and I'm breaking up with you. And then week two, building on that, still incorporating that, but it's like, and in order to get revenge on you, toxic fans, I'm going to ruin wrestling, and I'm going to win this world championship, and then I'm going to retire with it. So, but still has not addressed The Rock, who, at least on screen, was the impetus for his heel turn. He was the reason. You ostensibly, The Rock offered the deal to Cody. Hey, sell your soul to me. Cody turned him down. You would think like Cena is like, okay, yeah, I'll sell my soul to you, Rock. But like they haven't addressed that. So like, let's talk about that right there. What do you think is notable about the omission of The Rock? And
well, if there's a couple flaws with all of this. Hey, so John Cena has turned heel during a time in which he's finally accepted by the fans. Like this wasn't, it wasn't lukewarm, it was, it was lukewarm for us, just like, okay, so be it. We'll allow it. But, we're like, boo, you suck, you're, blah, blah, blah. So for the first time in 20, however many years, the fans actually liked him. He's like, I heard three of you whisper in the back. So I'm turning now. Mm-hmm. So that part was that. And then, he's there to ruin wrestling. And the impetus being The Rock. The Rock must be the worst board of directors member ever, in that, as part of the board of directors, you're there to drive business, increase business. And the guy that you handpick to carry this on is the guy that's there to not only not help wrestling, destroy wrestling.
Right.
And then apparently leave and retire with the belt. Also not good for business, or best for business, if you will. And if this, let's just say this goes the way it says it's going to go, or appears it's going to go, John Cena wins the belt and retires. Let's look at the world of sports as we know it.
Okay.
Like, Michael Jordan retires from basketball. So maybe not the best example, but because he did, but let's say he retires. The commissioner of the NBA, David Stern, goes, "Hey, we need you to play one more game."
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Well, no, I retired. So, don't care. You gotta have one more. No, you're retired."
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think John Cena potentially wins the championship, and I think John Cena is not done once he does win said championship.
Sounds like Sapphire agrees with you.
Yeah. So I mean, like, is it Adam Pearce going contractually? It's just like, no, if you're retired, you're retired.
Well, as far as a projection as to how this might play out, I have some thoughts on that, but I guess my immediate thoughts with the omission of The Rock as far as on camera goes, kind of leads me to believe that Rock had a hole in his schedule, kind of called up, offered his services to, hey guys, just, it's WrestleMania season. I've got a little hole here. Anything we can do? Well, we're going to turn John Cena heel. You want to get in on that? That sounds awesome. I'd love to get in on that. He gets in on it, does his thing, and I think maybe he's done, because or he's not. He comes back, but I think it seems like they would, if he was going to be a part of this ongoing, that they probably would have mentioned him by now.
Here's where I think there's still, we have plenty of weeks. This is the longest gap between, for the road to WrestleMania that we've experienced in the road to WrestleMania. If they start talking about The Rock week 1 or week 2 into the 6 weeks we have before Mania, when this thing started, 2 Raws ago, and they mention The Rock, and they mention The Rock, like, it's just like, we've heard about 6 weeks of The Rock, and The Rock's not here. So you don't talk about The Rock. You don't talk about The Rock. You can sprinkle in a Rock, and then so it's the elephant in the room. It's just like, well, you keep talking about The Rock, and that flight from Miami to London ain't a tough one,
right? So that's definitely viable. You cannot mention The Rock and he can still come into play, or you cannot mention The Rock and he cannot come into play. But one individual that definitely is in play, that I think is probably the most notable omission from this, is John Cena has not addressed Cody Rhodes, like the Cody Rhodes of it all. He's like, I'm gonna win the championship. He doesn't say he's gonna win it from Cody. So I essentially think this is just a storytelling tool to illustrate how John Cena does not consider Cody Rhodes a threat or an obstacle that he necessarily needs to overcome. At this point, John Cena is Thanos. He is inevitable. He is, he willed his way into the Elimination Chamber. He got a victory at Elimination Chamber. And he has willed himself into this WrestleMania match, and Cody Rhodes is an afterthought. And I think after a couple of weeks of that, Cody Rhodes is going to have about enough and all he's going to take of that. And then that's sort of going to be our tool to really get Cody fired up. Cause so far, as far as like two guys one guy, completely altered his, belief system, turned against everything he's ever stood for, kicked the other guy in the balls, beat him up with his championship belt, a microphone, and his daddy's Rolex. Cody's taking this in stride. He hasn't really, been super fired up in his promos, but I think, we can get to that if Cena insists on not even, talking of the Cody of it all. What do you think?
Well, I think we're going to get to the point where Cody's going to mention the fact that John Cena can't accept that Cody is the John Cena that John Cena wanted to be. So Cody is that guy that was the John Cena that was shoved down our throats. But, even though he has a tacky logo and tacky t-shirts, he doesn't wear the tacky logo. Well, other than the neck, he doesn't wear it like, whereas John Cena's like, hey, look at me, I'm tacky. And so Cody Rhodes is that character, except it's working and they're loving it.
That touches on something I thought of in the very first promo last week. That I think would be an interesting note for Cody to bring in. And it also harkens back to something you just said a little while ago. It's like, I want to hear Cody say, like, you hear that? You hear all those cheers, like 100%. You don't know what that's like because you've never gotten it. You've always split people up. You've never gotten the universal love and praise that I get, and that drives you nuts. Yeah. That's what's really.
And we were and are the same character before you turned into a shitbag.
Right. And the moment, and this is what you just said, and the moment you finally approach that level that I've been at for 2 years, the universal love, acceptance, and acclaim, you turned your back on everybody because you're still mad about what was going on 10, 15 years ago with, let's go Cena sucks. Yeah. I think that's definitely a stroke they need to throw into this whole thing.
Cody is what John Cena wanted to be.
Exactly.
And it's insane looking back, 10 years ago of John Cena with the John Cena sucks, let's go Cena, and dashing Cody Rhodes.
Right.
Like, I mean, like of anyone to be the John Cena you wanted to be, it's fucking dashing Cody Rhodes.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty. It's notable. So they should bring that up. And also, I think definitely for the segment of fans that's been watching for a long time, anytime that they can key in to history and acknowledging like, oh, this is a thing that happened and pay something off, it's very rewarding for like people like us who like kind of analyze this stuff on a granular detail and have an understanding and a knowledge of the history and what has come before. And with that, I would like to move on to our other big sort of main event men's program, where
El Grande Americano,
where this week history really did come into play, which it did with El Grande Americano. But no, I want to talk about the looming triple threat match. Well, not necessarily looming now. I mean, it's confirmed. CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns are going to be having a triple threat match, which you kind of got to think that's main event night one now. Sorry, Jay and Gunther.
You know what? I had a nice long conversation with Jason Powell at ProWrestling.net yesterday afternoon. And Jason is there's two schools of thought here in which this will not be the main event of night one.
Okay.
Send the crowd home happy with a Jey Uso win.
Right.
That's possible. Because I was guessing night one opening match, Jey Uso wins the championship.
That's been our story the whole time.
Yeah. there's a story, and the WWE loves a story, and they love a story that continues. CM Punk has not main evented WrestleMania. If this match is the main event of night one, that story's off the table.
Right.
Why can't we pay off that story next year?
Right. Well, I think you can pay it off this year, and then CM Punk will just have like another reason to exist. But you're right. And that would sort of go along the lines of, everybody said Cody should have won at WrestleMania 30. And
we were wrong.
Yeah, well, I was not one of those people. I was like, in the moment, I was bummed out, but it was like, oh, it makes total sense. You know how many times that fucking Ric Flair beat Dusty Rhodes, and it just made when he finally won that much sweeter. And so it's like Cody doesn't win at 39. It's like awesome. He'll win at 40, which he did, and it was that much better for him having lost at 39. But going back to sort of where you're staring at as far as like its placement on the card. Well, I think you have to look at Gunther J, where that's at on the card, be it night one, night two. It's not going to be you think it's not going to be in the middle of the show. It's probably going to be an opener. If you look back to night two of last year, the World Heavyweight Championship was in that opening match of night two position. So let's say you put that opening match night one, night two. If that match is not on at the end of either one of those nights, it's definitely not going to be at the end of night two. No. I think that sort of telegraphs who's going over. If you put that match at the end of night one, it's like Jay's going over because that's a moment. That's the go home moment.
Did you see tickets just went on sale yesterday for WrestleMania After Hours? It is the official after party of night one of WrestleMania, hosted by Gronk, with all your favorite rap stars that are mentioned on Netflix each week that we have no idea who they are.
Right.
And also a celebration party for Jey Uso, even though he may or may not win he's winning the championship.
I saw where that's an event. I did not see the Jey Uso celebration. But if you put that match on first and he goes over, then it's like the whatever follows that is automatically just going to be a tremendous letdown. But how do you not put that CM Punk, the triple threat that we're talking about, how do you not put that at the end of night one? Because it's not going to be the end of night two.
No.
But yeah, I also see your point of like, leaving another year of, but I don't know. I think I'm ready for CM Punk to accomplish this goal and then see where he wants to go after that, because, we're putting the cart before the horse. Let's talk about, again, history.
Yes.
And how history and knowledge of what has come before plays into making this triple threat match significant in a way that even I had not keyed in on until CM Punk's promo this week. And I'm really glad because I was checked out during the whole sort of CM Punk, when he was the champ. And I remember hearing about him on the indies, but there were years where I was not watching WWE or like really any wrestling at all. And I missed out on all the Punk stuff. So when he got fired or disappeared or whatever the second time from AEW, I was like, man, I really missed that guy. I'm going to go back and watch all the stuff I missed. So I went back and watched his whole reign, basically from the pipe bomb to when he left.
Yeah.
And saw how instrumental he was in the story of like the Shield and, and their origin story. And I had sort of kind of forgotten about that until he reminded us this week in that one line in his promo. He was like, I brought you guys into this business and, I'm going to take you out. And it's like, oh, there it is. So we've gone back and forth. a month ago, I was saying that the only way I'd be interested in a triple threat with these guys was if there were, if there were stakes. Let's say the winner gets added to the championship match on night 2. And you came back with like, I think I'm kind of okay with no stakes. And I think I'm there with you. I'm going to be okay with it too, just because of the historical payoff that's going to be involved when you have CM Punk and, his stable that he brought in as his, as his enforcers, to
beat up Ryback.
Those, to beat up Ryback and whoever else. Those are going to be the guy, those are going to be, that's your match. And I think it's intriguing. You've already been sold on the idea of a no stakes thing for this match, but like, how are you feeling about it right now?
I'm still sold. I think, when we had the steel cage match between Rollins and Punk, and the interference of Roman Reigns, I was just like, man, I was like, these 3 guys are so big, they don't need a championship.
Right.
Like Roddy Piper always said, he was just like, the belt is a prop and I'm bigger than the belt.
Mm-hmm.
So always felt that way. So even the Intercontinental thing, he's like, I don't want this. So, and Hogan will tell you, and Roddy told me, like, Hogan wanted to drop the belt to Roddy so they could do a chase for a year.
Mm-hmm.
So, and just do, schmoz finishes, and Roddy, eking it. And Roddy's like, I don't want to carry it.
Right.
Like, I got my boots. I got my sweatshirt. I got my Ico Pro. There's no room in the carry-on. I don't, this 20 pounds of gold, brother, it don't carry itself.
That's right. That's right.
So, and so I'm sitting there watching, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm like, these guys are big. Like, those 3 guys are bigger than Gunther with the World Heavyweight Championship.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay. And I think there was a part of us, they're just like, okay, well, if Cody's doing this one thing, what about CM Punk and Gunther? That's less than this triple threat.
Right.
Those guys are so high up in just grandiose stars. So I'm okay with it. But at the same time, if this is like second or third from the top on night 1, is
what
that
follows
less?
This
is that less than?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I think you could, if this isn't the night 1 main event, I think the only thing that could follow it would be Jay and Gunther, possibly. But I think there's some things that have gone awry with that build.
Oh, well, he slips and falls now. He's slipping Jimmy.
Well, after So I mean, with Punk, Rollins, and Reigns, I mean, the segments have been tremendous. The beatdowns have looked good, looked convincing. They've been well executed. What I think is notable that we need to talk about before we leave this particular topic, though, is Paul Heyman and, of course, the favor, which people at this point seem like they won't shut up about. And what the appearance at, on that segment on Friday, when Punk comes out and he was like, neither one of you guys have ever beaten me without the other helping. And by the way, Heyman, you owe me a favor again. And Heyman is like, hey, really? Right now? And he's like, no,
brother.
Yeah, we'll get to it. But thank you for serving up Roman Reigns for me right now on a silver platter.
Yeah,
and with all that's gone on, that moment seems like that's the moment that sort of wounds Roman Reigns the most, is the potential of Paul Heyman turning on him. So way back on this program, you and I were talking about how long are we going to do this babyface Paul Heyman thing? Is that really what we want to see? At some point, he's got to stab somebody in the back. The most obvious thing would be stab Roman in the back, team up with Punk. What I started thinking about this morning, though, was he stabs both of them in the back and teams up and starts backing Rollins. Now, Seth Rollins is, for all his whatever, I don't dig it, but has no problem communicating on the mic. Which really neither does Roman Reigns or CM Punk. So if you take that out of the equation of why a character would need a manager, I think it sort of makes sense and then gives Roman and Punk another begrudging reason to get together later on. If, we do a full on Seth Rollins heel turn and Paul Heyman is backing him, and now Paul Heyman has screwed both Roman and Punk, both of his guys. What do you think about that possibility?
I love Seth. I know you're a Rollins hater. I love.
I just don't dig. I hate the gear, and the character right now.
But I feel like the gear is kind of morphing a little. I feel like the gear is changing before our eyes and becoming a little more serious.
Yeah.
The idea of Heyman figuring out what a Seth Rollins is excites me to no end, because I don't like the clown emoji. I don't like the ha 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 ha. Like I don't like any of that. I just think Seth Rollins is amazing and very good at what he does, and very hateable when he leans in. But still, we haven't seen very hateable with a focus. And I think of all people on the planet, Paul Heyman's the guy to figure out what that focus is. On
screen and off. I think. You're right. I think that would. I think Heyman's going to turn on Roman, but I think it would make too much sense and be too obvious. Not that being obvious is necessarily the wrong thing to align himself with Punk, but I think it makes for more interesting opportunities down the road if he screws both of them over. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, Paul Heyman turns on Roman, joins Punk. That doesn't make Punk a bad guy. And I don't need the continuation of Paul Heyman as a babyface manager. I mean, there's been two babyface managers in the history of wrestling that I remember offhand. And Jimmy Hart with Hulk Hogan, ineffective. So great at the airport. Great for showing up for the Make-A-Wish kids when the Hulk can't make it, brother. Sorry.
Yeah.
But Jimmy's here. Yeah. We got Hacksaw Jim Duggan outside. Oh, yeah. I know you want to meet the Hulkster, brother, but Hacksaw's here. So, no. And then Sir Oliver Humperdinck with Bam Bam Bigelow.
That was terrible. Like 87 NWA. Yeah, when they brought in Bam Bam because Humperdinck was always a heel.
Yeah. And it's just like, who is this low budget looking guy? And why is he? So he's a manager. So obviously, Bam Bam's a baby face. So this ill looking guy is a baby. Okay. No, none of it works.
And also, like, going way back, Albano was always a heel and then switched baby face. But I mean, when a baby face, when a heel manager switches baby face, and at least those examples that you listed right there, they just sort of become the clown version of of their role up until that point. So you can look at Jimmy Hart and say, and Jimmy Hart was kind of always a clown, with the Mouth of the South character.
Ask Garrett Bischoff.
But as the manager of the Hart Foundation, he was dangerous. He would get involved, and that's always what a heel manager. What they present is
done correctly.
That danger they're going to get involved, and except for Heyman, really never gets physically involved at all. But when
he's more of a puppeteer, and
sure,
I like the idea of more. I don't need Paul Heyman to take a bump to be an effective manager.
Right.
And there's so many bookers of professional wrestling, because I've done the managerial. They're just like, all right, we need you to take a bump rate. I'm like, for what?
Yeah. So that's kind of, yes, you're right, but kind of not where I was going. Heyman, the babyface Heyman, has not been like sort of a clown version of the heel Heyman. He's kind of stayed the same, but I think for I'm sorry. I've lost where I was going with that, but yeah, I think it would be very interesting if Heyman turns on both of them and aligns himself with Seth, and I think there's a lot more opportunities for stuff right there. But if
we were talking off air Monday night after Monday Night Raw, and I was just like, would you lose your mind if Seth Rollins wins this? Because there's no, I mean, the betting on is, it's got to be CM Punk or it's got to be Roman Reigns. Roman doesn't lose, and Punk needs this. And I'm just like, swear, bro, no one will see it coming. Can you now swallow a Seth Rollins win? And
nobody, nobody wins anything, does it make sense for the story? I think it absolutely makes sense for the story for Seth Rollins to go over, because if you want to keep him strong, you can say, okay, he put Cody over 3 times and he was still, viable and good to go. There was still meat on that bone. He's put Punk over a couple times now, but I think, well, if you want to keep him babyface, he doesn't have to go over. But if you're going to switch him heel, then he needs to go over. And I think you need to switch him heel. So yeah, for me, Seth Rollins going over at WrestleMania over both those guys, switching heel with Heyman. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I'd be there for it. I'd definitely be down for it. Yeah, and the thing with Seth Rollins is, like, I think the aspects of his character that annoy me are the aspects that would get shaved off.
Yeah,
with a heel turn.
A heel turn with Heyman.
A heel turn with Heyman. Yeah.
A heel turn without Heyman is still the
yeah. But like a darker, more sadistic, at least for a while.
In a men's suit.
No, I think actually if he turns heel, man, like, keep going with the extravagant presentation, but like, don't sell it. Like, just walk out like I'm wearing on that, like, I've got a fucking head growing out of my head, but like, no, it's just this is just how I roll, man. And I'm not like, don't like, make a big presentation about it. It's just like, no, I'm fucking going to the laundromat with this fucking monkey growing out of my head. But go ahead.
So if this results in a new Paul Heyman stable, because that he has been synonymous with stables over the years, dating back to dating back to the original Midnight Express,
sure,
in quotation, and then the Dangerous Alliance, and then what we've seen with the Bloodline and everything else. All right, so you have potentially Paul Heyman managing or advisor, general counsel to Seth Rollins. You got to think potentially the return of Brock Lesnar.
Wow. It depends on what's going on with I think there's the fact that Brock Lesnar is a prominent figure in an ongoing litigation, lawsuit, I think will prohibit his involvement in any on-screen capacity until said litigation is resolved. I think in the fans' minds right now, the quote unquote casual fans, the people that don't really, pay attention to what's going on beyond what's on the screen, Brock Lesnar can come back whenever and it'll be fine. But I think as far as like corporate culture and sort of things in that world, I do not think we'd see Brock Lesnar coming back. But even if we do see Brock Lesnar come back, it's not he won't be there for a significant period of time on screen or anything. But it's as long as Heyman is around in storyline, it makes sense for Brock Lesnar to only be a phone call away, or perhaps a fucking carrier pigeon to the Yukon, to bring him back. I think the more interesting opportunity would be, and somebody that you've always mentioned will eventually end up in the orbit of Paul Heyman is Braun Breaker. You know,
well, that's why I mentioned Brock Lesnar, because I like the idea of Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, and Braun Breaker, and then it's the tension between Braun and Brock for who is the alpha of those, and the whole time Seth's like, I'm the alpha, I'm the champ,
right.
I'm the whole reason this thing is revolving, and it's this little like thing between the two of them that has nothing to do with Rollins that spawns off, next year's WrestleMania, Brock Lesnar versus Braun Breaker, and then Brock Lesnar riding off into the sunset yet again.
Yeah. Brock Lesnar putting over Braun Breaker would that'd be a nice piece of business for sure. But at WrestleMania. But coming back to this current WrestleMania, let's mention the match that we were talking about in the context of where the triple threat might be placed on the card, and that is the World Heavyweight Championship showdown between Gunther and Jey Uso. And I would just like to say right off the bat, my blanket impression of all this is, goddamn, I wish they would have done the thing I wanted them to do. A lot of times, you might have a concept of like, oh, this would be great if they did this, but then whatever they end up doing is fine too. I think the character of Jey Uso would have been better served by disappearing.
Yeah,
as opposed
trip to Samoa to learn a new hold. As
opposed to his presentation up, that they've been doing with, having him around. It's I don't know. I think it would have been way more effective. It's like, you know what? And even they could have still done it and they might still do it, but it's not going to be as good because I think, when we were talking about the idea about him going away, learning a new hold, doing some training montages, on the island, it was like, is 8 weeks too long? Is 6 weeks too long? Is 4 weeks too long? And at this point,
I think 1 week.
I think, 1 week is too short. 3 weeks.
But I'll take anything over slipping Jimmy.
Yeah, get him out of here. They could still do it. And and like and the reason it has not left my mind is like every week, it's like, it seems like that's what they want to do, where he's just like, oh, everybody's doubting me. And, and the fact that he did those 2 botches last week and then they made it a part of the story this week. I think that was that you got to do that. You have to acknowledge that. That's on TV in front of everybody. That match became like the most disliked WWE video on YouTube of all time.
Whoopsies.
And yeah, it's you have to tell that story of he is losing a step, and now here comes Big Jim has got his back, but like that's not just fucking dude. It was right there 2 weeks ago. If Jimmy had just gone away and did the learn a new hold thing, and then you have the return, which would have been huge.
The Samoan cross face, or just something.
We talked about it, and I remembered that there was, in WWE 2K games, both Uso brothers have a submission hold in their moveset called the Tequila Sunrise. So there's already a precedent for them having like a trademark submission hold. Bring that fucking shit back.
The Samoan stranglehold. I mean, like,
sure.
Yeah, no, I don't like
the Weaver lock.
Yeah, exactly. The Weaver. For those of you that don't know, like, the Sleeper was around forever, and and Dusty Rhodes just could not win, even though he won.
Couldn't beat Lex Luger. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, through insurmountable odds. So Johnny Weaver taught him the Weaver lock, and all it was that same old sleeper.
Just a sleeper hold. Yeah.
But it was the Weaver lock.
And it was devastating. To the point where, like, this is the first time I remember a sleeper hold being presented as, okay, it'll put somebody to sleep, but then you got to wake them up.
Oh,
with the slap on the back of the neck to get the circulation going
blood
back to
going
your
again.
brain.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, then your victim, there's a possibility for long-term brain damage. And so that waking up is very important. It's like, that was so cool to get that move over, is how devastating it was. It was like, no, dude, this, like, if you don't wake this guy up, they're going to be fucked. And you can get a headlock over. You can get a headlock over as a devastating move. You can get anything over. So yeah, go learn a fucking new move. But what do you feel like at this point this is adding to the story, taking away? How's the whole Jay Gunther build been going for you?
Unless he disappears, this is taking away. Because here's the thing. So let's just say he finally works his way back up into not tripping by the time we get to Mania.
Right.
Let's just say there's accidentally a fucking botch in the fucking match.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and then oh, well, yeah.
But don't worry, I made it over the botch, and I'm still like, oh, it's just, no, go away. I understand we're selling t-shirts. That's fine. That John Cena has showed us we're selling t-shirts.
Yeah.
But I don't think I think they still sell t-shirts if Jey Uso was gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cornette always says, how can I miss you if you don't go away? Having Jey Uso gone for a month and
showing up the Raw before Mania.
Gunther just beating the shit out of him week after week, that's not doing anything for Gunther or Jay. No. But if you had Jay away on the island, sending in the training montages, sending in the vignettes, and
going into the TV, into a dark place,
and having Gunther do kind of what they had him doing for a couple weeks, just fucking, having matches with Axiom or whoever the fuck,
Jimmy.
Gunther looking strong, Jay's off getting his shit together, and then when Jay comes back and and this is a Jey Uso you've never seen, with an arsenal you've never seen. At this point, it's gonna, when Jay won the Royal Rumble, you and I were both like, oh, that's a great end of night WrestleMania, night one moment. And then obviously you don't put Jay in that position if he's not gonna win.
Yeah.
At this point, with the way this story has unfolded, Jay winning is gonna not do much for him because he's already up there, and it's gonna make Gunther look worse than he did. I still say Gunther is just now maybe recovering from putting Cody over. From putting Cody over. Yeah. And now Cody's and Gunther's gonna put Jay over with a fucking botch spear and a botch fucking splash or whatever. It's not gonna be great. But it could have been, and it's one of those rare times where, like, I'm gonna stand on my ground, and they're gonna really have to do something to make me get off of this. Where, like, nah, I think I was right.
Yeah, we know. I think we had.
They should have done. So real quick, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the big women's programs, two of which that are developing right now as we speak. And of course, over on SmackDown, we have for the WWE Women's Championship, Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. Let's start there, and I will just give my problems with this right off the bat. Tiffany Stratton is not a babyface.
No.
They have done nothing with her character to get people behind her other than, I mean, she had some catchphrases and she's tremendous in the ring, so people started getting behind her. You can't just rely on that for storytelling. You have to give her a sympathetic reason for people to get with her, and she's just not,
No, the move for this match was Jordynne Grace wins the Rumble, and Charlotte beats Tiffy in that interim, and we get Jordan versus Charlotte WrestleMania.
I think you can still go with Charlotte winning the Rumble and just have her challenge Rhea. I mean, that was, and you had, and I said that.
I'll take that too. But
you had a clear heel, clear baby face. What we have right now is we have 2 heels.
Yeah.
That are both sort of the same archetype. Your blonde, rich bitch goddess, whatever you want to call them, and Charlotte. And this is, I mean, we always talk about this. This is a visual business, and visual presentation is a part of forming opinions. And she just looks so fucking weird now, facially, with the plastic surgery. It's like she does, like, who is this? It's like she's not Charlotte Flair. She's like, who is this person? The ice cold delivery. I couldn't even, they did that split screen interview segment on Friday, and I couldn't do it. It was, the whole thing was so cringe.
What did you hear? Sean Ross Sapp was reporting this week that they gave Charlotte the script ahead of time for her to know when to step on Tiffany's lines.
Huh.
And it was to put Tiffany in one of those sink or swim positions. And I'm just like,
well, yeah.
1985.
Yeah, I did hear that. Yeah, this is too much too soon for Tiffy.
Yeah, it was not lightning in a bottle.
She needed to be, she would have been better served of being, instead of being the like Toady or the to Nia Jax, if Charlotte had been around and she could have been, Charlotte Jr.
Sure.
That would have worked out great, and then eventually have her, turn on Charlotte. Yeah, it's just it's so ostensibly you have like 2 heels over there on SmackDown, and then our women's big main event program on Raw is 3 baby faces. And
no, they've all turned heel or worthless. So Rhea Ripley is ridiculously unlikable for no reason.
Yeah, she's just throwing a fit.
She's throwing temper tantrums like a child. Bianca Belair is a heel without a turn, and then they all just take turns pie facing Io Sky.
Yeah, it's a mess over there too. And it's a bummer because, and again, they have a few. Well, this week I guess the development was Rhea gets her rematch.
Yeah,
which goes again, like this will be the first, and they actually said on screen after you brought it up.
Yeah, I
was not aware that wasn't a thing anymore. The automatic rematch. You brought it to my attention, and then like right after that, they said it on screen. They're like, no, we don't do that anymore, and now they're making it a major part of the story.
Yes,
so
yes. We did have my favorite line in probably the last 6 years of wrestling, in which Adam Pearce, informs Bianca Belair she will be the special guest referee for this rematch.
I don't know how to referee.
Yeah, and I'm just like, thank you, because for those that don't know, when you're trained to be a wrestler, it's not like, okay, well, we're going to start with refereeing, and then we're going to work our way up to managing.
Yeah,
and then you're going to be a jobber, and then you're going to be a world champion.
Yeah,
it's not.
I don't even know how to referee. So that was pretty good. But yeah, meanwhile, you have Bianca, part of what is, I'm not going to say leaps and bounds a more compelling story, but there's a little more to it, and it's a clearly delineated, the Jade and Naomi saga.
Yeah,
Bianca's very much part of that, and yet she's over on Raw involved with this whole thing where there are no clearly defined roles. Rhea has just come off as
a child,
not Rhea Ripley, petulant, selfish, temper tantrum throwing kid, which kind of goes against her whole character.
Yeah.
And then Io Sky's just in the middle, screaming a lot, making a bunch of racket, and being tiny
and being cheered.
She's super over. She's super over.
The fact that she's sustaining this is amazing, because you would think it'd be like, shut up, go away, and they're still I was Jason Pell and I, ProWrestling.net, talking yesterday. It's just like, how is this possible? And I'm just like, when you pay $400 a ticket, you're cheering for Tozawa.
Yeah, you're cheering for who you want. And there is a story. There is a story there. If you have, the David and Goliath of it all, you have a baby face, a clear baby face, Io Sky up against the insurmountable odds of like two, and Bianca Belair, you can't really put her in the monster heel category.
She's monsterly strong.
Yeah, she's close to it. So you can pretty much say you have your undersized baby face versus two monster heels. But that's not really.
But Rhea Ripley.
But there's no evil. There's no evil doing in any of this. It's just a bunch of mudslinging.
And rewind 3 months ago, Rhea Ripley's your top 3 babyface in the company. I mean, it's literally Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Rhea Ripley.
Yeah,
I think Rhea Ripley tops part-time Roman Reigns for that 3rd spot 3 months ago.
Absolutely. Post. The Dominic turn, and you want to talk about putting sympathy on somebody. I mean, people really got behind Rhea in that moment, and and then her eventual reclamation of the title and everything. It's like she was right there. That's like I said, it's like when Charlotte won the Rumble, instantly I was like, how if you have a healthy Charlotte Flair and a healthy Rhea Ripley on your roster and it's WrestleMania time.
Great, let's go.
Yeah, do that. Oh, well, they already had 2 matches. Yeah, so did fucking Flair and Steamboat. And it's like you ever heard of a trilogy?
And Randy Orton.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's have them have a WrestleMania trilogy. But no, they didn't do that. And I think both title programs for both matches have suffered. And so you have. And it's unfortunate because it didn't have to be that way. Kind of the same way with the Jay and Gunther thing.
This is a less than WrestleMania as of right now.
I think big picture wise, like up and down the card, yes. I think I think with our 2 sort of like penciled in main events, the Punk Roman Rollins triple threat and Cody Cena, I think we have in both of those matches an opportunity for epic, memorable moments. But then you look at the rest of the cards, it's not really there. I'm kind of working off the theory that as far as I think if you go back to 39, because really 39 was the first WrestleMania that, the Triple H was really booking. He wasn't in full creative control. If you remember correctly, Vince came back the night after WrestleMania, did that Raw after WrestleMania and fucked everything up. So he was still in the mix. But if you look back to that, and we might see it this year, a pattern developing of your odd number WrestleManias being the bummer. WrestleManias being your Empire Strikes Back. And then the even ones are everybody gets even. So, if you look at, 39, but within those moments, within those like sort of broad strokes, there still have to be like positive moments within. Yeah. So like if you look back at, if you look back at WrestleMania 39, Cody loses night 2, but the end of night 1 was KO and Sammy going over. So it's like, yay, so that's why it would have made sense to have the end of night 1 be Jay and Gunther and have Jay go over. There's our big positive moment because we're going to fucking piss everybody off by the end of this thing with Cena going over.
No.
Which if we want to go back to that real quick in our closing moments of the program today, I do think Cena goes over. I think it makes sense for him to win that title, lord it over everybody. Not retire with it immediately, but piss back off to fucking Hollywood or whatever. And I think we got to, SummerSlam is obviously what I'm thinking. It's you got to see. I would like to see Punk Cena for the belt
for the spinner belt. The new
bring the fucking spinner belt back. Sure.
I'm down for bringing the spinner belt back just for the heat of it all. And guess what? They're gonna fucking sell them.
Well, they wouldn't have fucking mentioned it if they weren't bringing it back, and they already are. So I follow like Belt Talk subreddit, and there has been, and the belts that WWE sells on WWE Shop they've actually gone up in price now. But they're all around like the 550, 600 mark and above, and
just below the price of a ticket.
Walmart has been selling through not WWE Shop, but Walmart has been selling a replica spinner championship for significantly less recently. And there's been all this talk on the subreddit, and like somebody ordered one and they were like, no, dude, this is like totally legit. And it's like, where those other belts are like 600, this one's like 400. So within the span of a week, John Cena mentions the spinner championship on screen, and a significantly discounted spinner championship goes on sale on Walmart.com.
Because they have a new spinner coming out.
No, because they're going to bring it back. I think they're going to bring. I think that's a good idea you landed on. But speaking of landing, we are bringing this baby in right here at the 1 hour mark. But before we split from Wrestling After Show, Jonny Fairplay, can you tell the folks once again where they can find us this Sunday evening?
Well, the champ is here, but the champ will be in High Point, North Carolina. That's right, Revolution Wrestling Authority at the Southside Rec Center. Go to rwa-wrestling.com. That's rwa-wrestling.com. And that's High Point, 4 p.m. bell time. Me and Heath will both be there on the mics, on the ones and the twos. And Night of Champions should be a great time. Links to a lot of my stuff at JonnyFairplay.com, no H to Johnny, or the brand new realityaftershow.com website. Check that out. It's realityaftershow.com. Oh my God, it's incredible. Just launched this week. I got back from Australia. Check that out, and at Jonny Fairplay and all the things. And for this show in particular, click like, click subscribe, click share, leave a comment, control that algorithm. It's youtube.com/aftershow if you're watching. To listen, whether it's Spotify, Amazon Music, you name it, all the audio deals, just search Reality After Show or Wrestling After Show, and you should be able to find us.
We are available out there, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to be live and in person this Sunday in High Point, North Carolina. We hope to see all of y'all there. And specifically for Jonny Fairplay, I'm Heath Haynes, and we'll see you at the matches.